what a great time at DeVos Performance Hall last night with the opening night for Waitress. And what a funny, fabulous, poignant show that is. And I have two of the stars who just knocked it out of the park last night. Jenna is in the studio, and that's Christine Dwyer. Christine, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. And Dr. Pomatter, Stephen Good, is here. Dr. Pomatter, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us, Steve.
Do you get called Dr. Pomatter periodically? Do people take you seriously?
Yeah.
It hurts when I do this. Don't do that. Yeah, stuff.
Like, I wish my gynecologist was like you.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Talk about the show. I mean, what a great, based on the movie Waitress, and what a really interesting, I hadn't seen it before, so everything was brand new to me, and the Sarah Bareilles music is, I think, killer. I mean, just some really cool songs you guys get to sing. You have to love playing this show. Christine, what about you?
Yeah, it's honestly my favorite role and my favorite show that I've ever been in. I think it's so unique because the book writer and the composer don't necessarily come from a musical theater background. It plays out much more like a movie.
It does.
And Sarah's music underscores, her voice actually underscores the entire show in such a beautiful cinematic kind of way. So I think people are sitting down expecting to see a musical that that they've seen a million times, and it's just not the case.
A lot of musical theater is happy and it has some ups and
it's
downs.
that big song exactly when you think that it's going to happen, and this show has so many characters and so many storylines that kind of meld into one another. That makes it really relatable for everyone.
You, Stephen, I mean, you really have to follow it well. I mean, you go through a lot of emotions in this show for your parts.
Yeah.
Dr. Pomatter then falls in love with Jenna, and it goes through those emotions, and now we're talking adultery here. I mean, you're going through this affair, so and yet there's humor throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I just when you think you can't cry anymore in this show, they'll hit you with a really hilarious song like "Never Getting Rid of Me,"
yes.
Which Jeremy Morris, who's obviously a good friend of ours, plays Ogie, and he's the comic relief. I mean, one of the comic relief characters,
sure.
And it's just timed out perfectly. Right when you get to that emotional place, they're like, "Oh, but it's still funny."
When you're playing those parts, how are you feeling on stage? You get that same emotion from the audience that they're feeling?
Absolutely, yeah. Especially here, these audiences have been fantastic. It was a great opening night last night.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
So
Yeah,
definitely feed off of that. But yeah, the show is just to piggyback on that is so well paced that you kind of just hop on and you're on for the ride.
That's a good line. You're on for the ride because you really are. It takes you all emotions and spousal abuse. Golly.
It deals with a lot of dark subject matter in a way that I think is relatable and and easy to follow and get involved in with these characters that just honestly most musicals don't do. So it's really unique in that way to be able to talk about adultery and talk about abuse and things like that. I mean, I think about it every night. There's at least one person in the audience that's dealt with one of those things in every single audience that we've ever had, and those stories aren't really told. So it's cool to bring this around the country and actually tell those stories and have people come up to me at the stage door and just be so overcome with emotion because of that.
Yeah, we have that a lot. People sharing personal experiences with us on social media and saying, "Thank you. This came at a really great time in my life."
It empowers Jenna at the end, so Jenna is empowered to live her life.
Yeah,
and start her own pie shop.
even though she makes mistakes, and I think that's such an important thing. We, as human beings, we're flawed, and sometimes we don't do exactly the right thing at exactly the right time. But it doesn't mean that you can't turn it around and change your life and get on a path that's good for you. And I think that's kind of the main overall message of this show is everything changes and you're not stuck anywhere. You can always get yourself out of a bad situation with the help of your coworkers and your friends and all of that. So
yeah. Seeing the light in the world through ones you love, whether it's family or friends, finding that light despite your own darkness, despite your own struggle.
But seriously, folks, let's talk. Talk about you guys for a minute. Stephen, for you, I mean, you have a great background in theater. It's not like you just suddenly walked onto DeVos Performance Hall.
Nope.
Except for the little girl. That was her first performance, which is so
cute.
sweet.
Oh.
That is so cute at the end of the show. Yeah. So you got to see it. Just for her, if nothing else.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about you, your background. You've done, Broadway. You did Waitress on Broadway, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same part?
Same part, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. So how long did you play there before you went on the road then?
Well, I was on the road, and then
Oh.
we had a layoff over the Christmas holiday for 10 days, and so I flew straight from touring in Spokane, Washington to I had one little rehearsal with our Jenna, and then went on Broadway. New choreography, new lines, new.
What a rough life.
yeah. And then performed that, for 10 performances, and then
New choreography? I mean,
Yeah.
they've staged it differently?
Yes.
Oh.
It's
Why would they do that?
It's a little more passionate on Broadway, especially the Dr. Pomatter Jenna relationship.
Okay.
So I think they've kind of toned down a bit of that. A bit of like
on
the
the
stuff
road.
that New York audiences expect, yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. So the Midwest couldn't exactly take a darker tone. Is that what you were saying? We're too sweet.
It's more like it's toned for like the Bible Belt, because you don't want to have anything in the show that throws anyone off from getting the core message of what the musical's doing. You know?
Yeah.
So
all right. So cool. So you did 10 days on Broadway.
yeah.
And then back on the road again.
Right back. Yeah.
Wow,
I had
wow.
2 performances the Wednesday after Christmas, and then the next day hopped on to open the show in Sacramento.
You've toured in other shows as well, other parts.
Yeah.
How does this compare? Do you like this part?
Yes. It's such an honor to get to tell this story and sing these songs. It's such a great challenge. As for the actor in me, all 3 songs that Pomatter sings are in a different style, and so and tell a completely different story. So it's a real joy to get to bring this.
Jenna, you said this is your favorite role that you've ever played.
Yeah, it really is.
And because of the emotional roller coaster you're on?
Yeah, I mean, I really believe in the message of the show. I believe in telling these stories. I think it's really important to say that it's the first all-female creative team that has ever put up a Broadway show, and I love being a part of that history. And then also the actor in me, what more could I ask for? I literally get to do everything in this show. I get to there's so many comedic moments that I get to figure out, and then get to delve into like the darkest parts of my my emotional being.
Really?
That it's such a ride, and it's exhausting, but it's a musical that pretty much has everything that I've ever wanted in a character.
Christine Dwyer, who plays Jenna and Waitress at DeVos Performance Hall, and Stephen Good, Dr. Pomatter in the show, and it runs through Sunday. A Sunday matinee is the evening. That's what I said. Sunday evening is the last performance, or close to a matinee, but Sunday evening, and a must-see show. The scenes you have with your husband in your apartment or house or whatever that is are so emotional.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with an abusive relationship, which is really difficult. It's the thing that's difficult about those scenes is to show that at some point they did have a relationship. At some point it wasn't all bad. And so in order to kind of show that and see, how it got off the rails and see the darkness in both characters, it's really interesting to play. And even though the scenes are dark, they're actually fun as an actor to play because they're really well written. The book in this musical is just the best, I think. And I really love it. I love playing this part.
The actor who plays your husband, it must take a little bit out of him. I mean, he's really a dastardly guy.
Yeah.
And he's what I've forgotten his name. Whiplash is the old movie, Perils of Pauline. Anyway, he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
So he comes out for a curtain call. Does it hurt his psyche a little bit?
Every time. And it's right before Ogie, too.
Yeah.
So it's
right.
like contrast.
Yeah.
He comes out, gets booed. Ogie comes out and gets the biggest cheer.
But if you get booed, you know that you did it right.
You're right.
So if he comes out and everyone's cheering for him, you're kind of like,
Somewhere deep down, you know you did it right.
Dig deeper for this. Waitress plays through Sunday at DeVos Performance Hall, and the whole cast from top to bottom is just phenomenal. You have to have a ball working with everybody there.
Yeah,
so much
everyone's really
talent.
great.
Everyone just lays it on the floor.
Yeah.
So great job. Christine Dwyer and Stephen Good, thank you so much for coming in. A pleasure, a wonderful night at the theater at DeVos Performance Hall. Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us, Andy.
Thanks so much.